Your radiator turns into a water filter.
Apparently there's a lot more going on with radiators and what's inside them than we ever thought. Hello, good sir. I have this radiator and it is dirty.
Oh, I'm Evan and we're at Serck Motorsport and that's what we can take care of.
Cool.
Come on in. I got an information sheet. We track everything we can, history, any kind of engine issues, more importantly, your name, your information, so jot that down. While he's doing that, my name's Evan. I'm the lead technician here at Serck Motorsport.
Where did Serck come from? It's British, isn't it?
Yep, from the UK about 12 years ago. Started dabbling with the Formula One customers over there. They were doing more damage to their coolers and when they were cleaning them than they would when they were running on the cars. So Serck came up with this little process here that's not abrasive on any of the coolers. So this is stage one of our process, just a simple oil draining. That's copper from main bearings, and that should not be in your oil cooler.
If you bring stuff in here and you don't know there's oil in it and it just gets everywhere.
Yeah, we've had a few messes against the pig mat, and we obviously keep these nice paper towels in every room. But we keep everything as clean as possible, and it's kind of what we keep on our shoulders is how to keep the building clean. And here we got Francisco cleaning an oil cooler. Hello guys. Over here we have your oil tank and one of your oil lines. This is our rig that was designed in the UK. Pull the oil out of it, removes the heavy contaminants so far, and then everything's filtered by a 10 micron filters underneath. Right now what's happening is it's flushing in one direction, then it will, after a certain amount of time, it'll back flush. It'll sit there and just rush back and forth. Every time fluid gets ran through it, it is brand new fluid that's not contaminated. You see the kind of the tint from the oil that's already in there. But as far as contaminants goes, metal, dirt, all that gets filtered underneath. It'll bubble air, so it really agitates all the dirt that's inside. About an hour and a half. This will run a cycle on there. After this process, that's what Francisco here's doing. That's when we start cleaning it externally as well. Everything gets brought in here, so that's only an oil rig. This kind of starts the checklist, if you will. For the rest of it, this radiator was just pressure tested. You hook it up to helium, drop it in there, and the helium finds any small hole, weld holes, obviously damaged holes, anything.
Why helium over air? Does it go through a smaller hole?
Yeah, it's the purest form of air, and so it can usually find the small cracks or holes that maybe just compressed air can't.
Do you ever find helium holes in new radiators?
Yes, pretty frequently. They are pressure tested from the factory, but some stuff does get missed. But yeah, we've had plenty of customers, probably weekly, have brand new radiators that have weld holes, or this bung doesn't get a complete weld around it. It's very popular. And then usually down, this is the tank, there's usually something missed there. But a lot of stuff we do here is to cross a lot of T's, dot a lot of I's. That way you don't find issues at the track. We try to find everything here, and that way you are getting a 100% ready to go radiator oil cooler.
When we came here before, you were talking about why distilled water is actually bad, and I'd never heard that before.
So some issues with distilled water, we can get scientific as possible on it.
Inside get scientific with it. That's what we do.
It's trying to find whatever it can to grab onto where the distilled water loses all its properties, and so then it starts trying to grab onto the aluminum and your tubes inside, and that's when it starts creating the rust, discoloration. Negative things can start trailing that. Your tubes get clogged up. So the best thing that we've always used and tell our customers is deionized water. And what the deionized water is electronically charged to strip its properties to where it can the molecules stay together, to where it's not trying to reach out and grab onto the aluminum, and where all it does is flow, cool, exactly what it's supposed to.
Where did that myth come from? Because it's like, you know, oh, don't use the hose water, make sure it's distilled. And like, didn't you say hose water could actually be better than distilled water?
It can be, depending on, there's a lot of hard water. The town we're in has very hard and abrasive water, so we don't recommend that. But best thing is just deionized, and that way it's not harmful to anything at all. other than trying to locate where it's at. But they make deionized machines, and then our local supply, SRI, keeps it in barrels for us.
You go out of our way to find distilled water to put in because you think it's necessary. It's like, actually, is that like a myth that was perpetuated by the radiator manufacturers to have repeat business?
Keep your radiators dirty instead of cleaning it or damaging it. Just buy a new one. Maybe that could be very well where it came from. Next here, this is our like we said, we take a lot of information down throughout our process. This is our flow rate. We're able to see flow rates throughout the radiator's life, and what that does for us is that we were able to show you, hey, this thing is still like it is brand new, or hey, there's an issue internally. There could be whether it's clogged or damaged, or even the new stuff, it could be a manufacturer defect that we can find here in-house versus out on the track.
This one's mine. Is there anything wrong with it?
Not so far.
2004, this thing's 19 years old. What I noticed about all this stuff is everything here is fabricated out of stainless steel. Like even the framework, it doesn't have to be, but it is, because it's fancy.
Fancy. Everything about us is cleanliness, and we have a cleanliness spec. So everything's welded, kind of a food standard. So if you look at, I don't know, we get compliment a lot about like the milk industry, like all the rigs for milk are all out of the same, similar tubing, and everything's, like you said, stainless and welded. And that's just to prevent the least amount of contamination possible. We're flowing gallons per minute. That's what the 50 is right there. And then we're taking a pressure data of the pressure of what you have. Two pressure lines, your inlet and your outlet. And this is posting up the difference. And that's how we're able to tell if the pressure's too high. Generally the tubes are damaged or they're closed in. If the pressure's too low, the tubes have expanded.
So if it's too low, does the water not spend enough time in the radiator to actually cool off?
Correct. It's just a free flow right through. It's flowing too much. It's not, the radiator's not efficient. And it can happen in oil coolers as well.
How do you know what that sweet spot is, where it's enough but not too much and not too slow either?
We've done enough of these to where we took an average of each kind of cooler that we see, and we were able to kind of find our target, upper limit, lower limit, and we just kind of have an equation of what they should be and what we've seen from multiple radiators.
How's this one? Is it messed up?
No, this one's actually dead on. We've had a few of these old ones, and we have like an internal oil cooler, more of a heat exchanger. We've had quite a few of these, older cars, a lot of dirt stuff, dirt late models have ran a few of these. So it's actually dead on from what it's been.
So were Formula One teams doing this stuff well before anybody in North America was?
Oh yes, by far. This is kind of a normal thing to where I think we field a good 75% of the F1 cars, because there's no other company like us. There may be some, imitations of it, but usually it's all ultrasonic, and we do not have an ultrasonic machine here. We don't use it, just for the fact of what it does to the radiator.
What does it do?
It actually destroys it. If you look on how to know if your ultrasonic machine is still clean or cleaning, what they do is they throw aluminum foil in the water or in the solution, and if it destroys the aluminum foil, then you're good to go, and your rig's good.
Good.
So aluminum foil. These are 100% aluminum radiators.
It's almost just, basically some thick aluminum foil in there.
Yeah, and that's what it is doing. So it's very abrasive. Yeah, it does a great job cleaning off rubber and dirt and pulling that out, but you're also stripping the aluminum and destroying that as well. So.
What did you do before this?
So I'd spent 7 years at Roush Yates Engines whenever I got out of college. And then I got sent over to Stuart Haas whenever they made the transition from Chevrolet to Ford, and I took care of the engines for the 10 and 41 car for another 6 years. And then I had some beautiful babies. My wife had some beautiful babies, and figured it's time to.
You never know these days.
Yeah, you know, I know these days exactly what it takes. But. All right, so that's finished up. Next, we flush the solution out inside there, and then it'll get ready to go on our stage 2 rig. This is a water-based rig that has 1 micron filters underneath, and again, cleaning everything out. Very similar to the other stage 1 rig, except this is, again, like I said, water-based.
Were these made in England and then sent over here?
A lot of it was pretty much everything on the rig side. How to connect the radiators to this was, you know, kind of designed here. Just because we have a great connection with Brown and Miller Racing Solutions. They've been a great partner with designing and getting everything made to where we can connect to generally any kind of cooler.
And when you were doing engines over there and had no knowledge of this technology, how were your radiators cleaned?
Ultrasonic cleaned and just flushed out, which is kind of amazing. Like a parts washer hose isn't gonna clean out as much as any kind of block. Even the cup engines come from top-notch facilities where every block is cleaned to their own spec, but they still have contaminants in there to where your radiator turns into a water filter. So after so long, after one race, your radiator goes from 100% efficiency down to, I don't know, 80%, because there's so much crap packed into your tubes, and then even the fins, to where if you're not cleaned properly after each race, you're showing up to the next race, you know, with less efficiency than what it should be.
What did you think whenever you were first exposed to this from your old tribal knowledge?
It was kind of strange, because like I said, it's a whole new thing over here, to where it's, like you said, tribal knowledge, to where we've all seen it this way, this is how we've done it, and then this whole new building, whole new everything shows up saying that you've been doing it wrong for X amount of years. So it is kind of a lot to take in, but I'm a whole believer in it, especially seeing kind of what it's done for just our short track customers who have always had heating issues, being at shorter tracks, you know, smaller grill openings, to where this has been a huge deal for them, and in all short track racing. And then now it's expanded up to the truck guys and Xfinity and Cup, to where they can apply more tape to the nose of their grill, more downforce, and still have decent temperatures where they're not overheating. To where they can apply more tape to the nose of their grill, more downforce, and still have decent temperatures where they're not overheating.
Where do those Wiggins clamps originate from, for people who don't know?
Most airplanes and, you know, spacecrafts all use it. If they have connection lines, they have these. And this, fun fact for you, this is actually a ground strap to kind of help with electricity in the air. I guess it helps ground whatever line you're using to reduce the chances of fire.
Well, that's cool.
Really?
So it grounds to each side of the line, to where this may not be the best description, but each side of this, if it's on a normal hose, that's what it's grounding to.
And they're all built that way?
They're all built at every single one of them.
Huh.
And then a race trick, because racing is so defined about weight. These are usually clipped off of each one. Biggest thing, what ounces are pounds, and pounds are speed.
How much dirtier are like the dirt car radiators than, like, say, like an Indy car or Formula One or something?
The only thing that keeps the dirt radiators from not being destroyed is so they pull air from underneath the nose. So actually, they're not that bad, other than just like residual dirt and air getting, you know, caught on. But they don't really see any direct rubber or air from the car in front of them, like a Cup car would, or asphalt, with the air inlet being directly on the nose. So they're actually not that bad, just because, for that sake, that the air that they get from are underneath. They're not bad, except you know, we have a few customers that decide to use well water, and so they get more stress internally than externally. So this is our final rig. This is going to be our kind of final stage of flowing these things. This is down to a 0.45 micron filter. At the end of this, it's going to push all the water out. All the water that's in these coolers will come out these side. These are our test lines. So at the end of this, we don't just say, hey, good luck, your radiator's clean, your cooler's clean, good luck. We're trying to stress how clean we can get these and how clean they are, and they're back to brand new, or better than brand new. Any dirt that's left in there gets collected onto a little filter and then taken over to this microscope to where it'll count every single particle. So this is a brand new one. This is what we deliver to every customer. This is a particle count, so brand new, straight from the factory. It is brought over and had a particle count of 219,000 particles. And then when we're done with it, we're down to 284.
That's insane.
So it's 219,000 particles on this little disc. Is that what you're counting?
Yeah.
When it's new.
When it's new, yeah. So these are all kind of labeled what we have. So that's a brand new IndyCar cooler pre-analysis. So as soon as we get it, it's taken out of the box, straight from their factory, and then we throw it on this rig, do a pre-analysis to where there's no, only thing that flows out of it is directly out of the cooler. This is a clean radiator. It still has a lot of scale built up inside, so tubes are pretty closed on that one, and it was no near to satisfactory.
How long is the dirty or test water exposed to those little filter discs to collect that matter? Is it like the same time duration every time?
Yes, we do 2 minutes. So it'll flow at the end of this. So this is just like a CNC machine where it's programmed to do different things at certain times. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I think there's 16 steps to this one. Step 14 is when it starts flowing out, flows for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes it goes through its emptying or draining process to where it pretty much is just pumping air through it to try to get all the water that's inside we gets drained out.
So if the test isn't satisfactory, do you run it through everything again?
We start back all over. Usually, but that's pretty, and again, kind of goes back to that first room where we wrote down the information. We got all our information down right on that paper to where, hey, this thing's X old, or it's got 1 race on it, stuff like that, to where we can we know, and like I said, we can change all this as far as how long or how frequent it changes its steps, to where that rarely happens. So where we kind of see, all right, hey, this is going to need extra love on stage 2, or brand new ones, we can kind of, obviously there's not as much contamination.
What's the proprietariness of this? Is it the solution that you're pumping through it? Is that the secret sauce, or is it how it's being pumped through it?
Yep, how it's being made, so we have it all covered up on internally there. Like the solutions we use, like I said, everything's non-abrasive, so that's a lot of it. Obviously, we're pretty obvious how we're connecting the hoses there. That's no big deal. Now there are some proprietary stuff on what gets brought in here. Whether it's there are some advantages in the cooling system, and so a lot of that, a lot of stuff that you've seen today is all spec radiator. To where it's off the shelf. And now we do get sent some stuff that is kind of handmade, to where it's for our eyes only, if you will.
Current NASCAR, IndyCar teams that don't want people seeing their stuff?
Can't say.
So if you found like 2,000 particles on that one that was brand new, how long will it take until you start seeing overheating from that?
Would
it be like immediately, or would it be like 1 or 2 races in? Or?
Well, a lot of that, with that many particles in there, you're going to start hurting the efficiency of everything. Your oil filter is going to get clogged rather quickly, or it's getting into your bearings. And we do not live by the standard of, it's good enough. It's not how we roll.
So like, what is the goal number of like what it should be?
So we do, this is actually, this chart is based off of Mercedes. So I feel like if Mercedes is efficient with that, then that's pretty close to what we can see.
Like Mercedes passenger cars or Mercedes race team?
Race team.
So how often should you like have it cleaned, or do you wait until you're having an issue to get
You never
it
want to wait until it's too late. We usually see our stuff after every race.
So if you're like a drag racer, is that like the same kind of aspect as?
Yeah, I'm thinking about like for street car drag guys who have
Yeah.
really tight.
They never do that.
They have some people, you know, big turbo systems. They don't have a lot of room for a radiator, so
Yeah.
they have to have maybe a smaller one than they want.
Yeah.
And driving around on when it's 95 every day, you
And other side of
overheat.
that too, we do intercoolers as well.
What if
Is
you
it-
have
is
a
it
turbo
true?
car that doesn't have an air filter? How bad is that intercooler going to look? If somebody,
Pretty bad, but we'll clean it.
if
We're more than happy
somebody,
to get it back.
me, were to do that, how bad does my intercooler look? There might be parts of a rubber belt in there.
Or belt, some aluminum, your fins off your turbo maybe.
The turbo was fine. It ate the
Okay.
belt.
Okay.
The intercooler stopped it.
Fixing some fans from the core, in order to get a even temperature. Sometimes they all plugged up and it restricts the air, so all the temperature on this line goes up between this gap. So that's why we make sure the fans are straight up, so that way it has an even temperature passing through the core.
You go through and pick out every single one of those.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Is it your favorite part of the job, picking fins?
It's just the last step. It's in order to have a good prep, we will have to do it. But yeah, that helps with the thermodynamics of the cooler.
Yeah, I bet that'd be a really good job for one of those girls that likes to pop pimples. Like that'd be like therapeutic for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets therapeutic sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you do to the edges there, Francisco?
In here, we make sure that it's clean and polished.
Polish everything.
Majority of it. It's kind of our own touch. Nice and shiny.
So if your average short track guy, drag guy, whatever, just wants to bring the radiator here and get it clean, how much does that usually cost?
For just a radiator on its own, get it in and out through the door, is sitting at $400.
And radiators now are not $400. Maybe they were in 2016, but
No, a lot of them. I think most of the cup stuff's averaging about $6-7 grand.
wow.
All right, finished products, all done.
How can somebody get a hold of you if they want to get their stuff cleaned?
We have a website, serckmotorsport.com/US. And my phone number is 704-495-2947. And I will send you my card.
We hope you guys learned something useful that you can apply to your own car. Maybe save yourself some money on why that radiator you've had for 10 years is not working as well as it used to when you got the car. How do you make a radiator interesting? I don't know. They did. First time we walked in there and they started talking, we're like, wow, this is really cool. I never would have thought this was this cool. The radiator and oil cooler tank and everything in there is for this car. It's a 2006 Monte Carlo, originally a Gibbs car, and putting it together to do some vintage short track stuff with it for a series called Grand National Super Series that runs in the North Carolina and extended region. For those of you who pay attention and stay till the end, here's a spoiler alert. The engine that's going in it is a Dodge R5 P7 because a viewer, AMS Engines in Edmonton, Alberta, was awesome enough to sell me this for way less than it was worth. Otherwise, we wouldn't have such a nice engine. But it's ready to go in the car, and that's going to be a separate video. Also, this will too, making the mold so we can duplicate the nose. And this is the new intake manifold for Uncle Rob, if you're a real OG and you remember what Uncle Rob is. There's lots to be excited about. We're ready to light the fuse. Let's go.